So my man has worked 4 conventions. He has 2 more on the way, and he's been profitable at one of them. So he's just asking how he could maybe improve his overall sales. So okay, so the best place to start is to kind of reevaluate your print pool. You said you've been profitable at 1 and you've been at 4, which means 75% of the time your current print pool is not earning you enough money. So maybe it's time to change that up for whatever reason. Now, before we go any further, you have to understand that your table location is going to dictate like 75%, 80% or more of your total sales. Like you could have incredible artwork, but if you're stuck in the back of the room and nobody could see you, then you're just going to lose. And that's not a reflection of you as an artist. So if that's what's been keeping you down, or that's what's been keeping your profits from increasing, then just you have to suck it up, because somebody always has to be in the back. Or you could just suck it up and pay that extra money for an exhibitor spot, which is often up front. So but in regards to your work specifically, your work has some things to be desired in regards to the rendering, and your anatomy and your fundamentals are a little weak in some points. So definitely just keep working on that. But I think the biggest problem you're going to face is that your artwork is that single character pinup style generic pose kind of thing, right? Inherently there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem you're going to face is that so many people are doing it in the artist alley, and a lot of people are really fucking good at rendering. So it's going to make it really hard for you to grab attention with that work. It really is. And attention is what we all trade on. It's like, I don't mean wave your arms around and try and get everyone's attention. Look at me, look at me. I mean, you need to offer people something in your artwork that they're not going to find elsewhere. That's going to grab their genuine attention. Their attention is going to lead to interest. And if you do it right, interest is going to lead to support, not just with them buying stuff and giving you money, but if you're making something that's very unique and they like it, that's how they become a fan, right? For example, my Pokemon drawing that has everything, you're not going to find that in any artist alley anywhere. So not only are they getting a lot of value in that drawing in the sense that there's a lot of stuff on it and it's very unique, but the story that goes along with it, that I live streamed the whole thing and it took so many hours, and that I like pulled out every stop, and it's just something that I'm a genuine fan of. That's the added value to a drawing. Does that make sense? That's what people are buying. They're not just buying a bunch of lines that I put down on paper. Now I'm not saying that like you need to do something that crazy, or that you need to jump into doing all original characters or concepts or anything. Fan art is still a solid way to make sales, targeting certain fandoms, especially when you're just getting started. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a very good strategy to stick with fan art especially when you're starting. But don't just draw like sexy Samus, like licking her gun, then tossing a bunch of oversaturated colors and some glow effects and expect it to sell. You can't expect to outperform other people in the artist alley if you're doing exactly what they're doing, and you are competing with them. There is a finite amount of money in the artist alley. People walking around, there's a finite amount of money there, and you want to grab as much of it as humanly possible. So ultimately, I would say my advice to you is to scrap your current set of prints, except for maybe the 2 or 3 that are making the most money for you, just so you can have something to work with. I would continue to work on fan art because it's much easier to sell fan art, but work on stuff that you both like and that both you like and that is popular. Make your work, like I said, have value in it. So here's an example of how to have a drawing have more value. You could have a picture of Diva from Overwatch standing there looking real sexy for the camera, just posing, or you can draw a picture that tells a story. Like you could have Diva in that same pose, but posing in front of some Korean-ass guy taking her picture while she's in front of her mech while they're in the middle of traffic. So you can have a bit of a cityscape. You could have some people walking around, and they're holding up traffic, and you could play with lighting, you could play with composition, you could play with perspective. that will make everything much more visually appealing because you'll have more things to work with rather than just a single character. Does that make sense? So that tells a story, which is the added value, which is why people would buy that more. Just think of the thing I just described to you. Which one sounds more interesting, that pinup or that scenario that I just, that I just explained to you? And ultimately, you are still exploiting that the fandom by using that character that everyone likes. So you get the best of everything. It just takes a little bit more work and a little bit more understanding of fundamentals to do it. So also the one thing I hear at conventions from both artists and vendors and attendees is that they like my work because it's different. And I think anyone who's struggling with sales, whether you're new or have been doing Artist Alley for a while, you need to evaluate what you're offering with your prints value-wise, like what I just described. Because if the only value you're offering are pretty colors, then there's no fucking reason for them to pick your pretty colors over the person's next to you, right? And you want more control than that. You can't leave it up to chance. But, that's just my advice. I've done 83 conventions in a little over 2 years. My sales pool has 3 pieces of fan art and 12 pieces of original art. So that's original characters and concepts. And, I make enough money so I can do cons basically every weekend, which you guys see in my vlogs. So, yeah, but what do I know? Hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions and you would like me to answer them in a video form like this, be sure to leave them down below. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you next time.